Flocks of gliders returning with the warmer weather to the mountain ranges of the Nelson Lakes National Park. The alpine landscape is the home of the Nelson Lakes Gliding Club. It has a reputation for turning out some skilled pilots. Our Nelson reporter Tracy Neal joined them for a flight, lucky old soul, and filed this report.
Gliders soar on the thermals building above Lake Station. The farm below steep mountains has one long flat paddock perfect for takeoffs and landings. It's suddenly my turn to take to the skies, and it's lucky I've had good instruction.
So just don't touch that and don't touch the pedals and you're good.
Gliders at Lake Station are launched by a long cable attached to a winch at the other end of the paddock almost 2 kilometres away. It's much like a giant slingshot. Instructor Frank Saxton gives the command to the winch operator.
All out, all out.
Within seconds, the glider is hurtling up at a steep angle. The glider reaches the top of the arc and the cable is released with a bang. We're drifting at about 100 kilometres an hour. With no engine, the glider relies on air currents to stay aloft, and clouds are a strong clue. The club's only woman pilot, instructor April Rumsey, describes the appeal.
It's that variation and that exposure to alpine conditions and great natural beauty that I liked without having to make the effort of climbing up to the treetops and hilltops. It's actually wonderful to be able to explore from that perspective without the effort.
April recalls the first time she flew solo.
I think I was, at the time, surprised that they were sending me solo just because I perhaps didn't have the faith in myself to think that it would be okay, but it all went fine and it was a great feeling of freedom.
And one or two things surprised her.
You know, when you go in powered aircraft, there are things that you don't discover, like the clouds are bumpy. They look all soft, but they're not.
Back on the ground, fellow instructor Rob Corlett is on winch duty. He explains how it works.
We're hauling the cable in at about 50, 60 knots straight towards us. We're getting about up to 1,500 foot above the ground until we get to the point where the winch driver will say launch over. If you go a bit too far, it'll just back release.
And like any good chain, it's only as good as its weakest link, as Charlie Samuels points out.
It's the weak link that breaks if you get too much stress.
And do we want a weak link with gliding?
Absolutely. Well, rather than have the glider break.
Dealing with a cable break is part of the training, along with learning to fly in mountainous conditions.
Flying in the mountains is very different from flying over flat terrain, and you know there's another set of skills. It's amazing how the airflow is deflected by the mountain ranges around us here. And so, I mean, flying gliders in this terrain, you've really got to be processing all the time because you're descending, and you've got to be looking for the next piece of air which is going up faster than you're descending.
So what makes a good glider pilot? Rob says being a fast thinker helps, along with a general love of aviation. But even the best have rough landings. At Nelson Lakes for Checkpoint, Tracy Neal.